Joey Logano says, Ross Chastain better get the fucking information right before he goes and wrecks somebody. And there's fucking 6 cars behind me wrecking into him, and then he destroys me from 4 back. That mother.
Oh, I mean, 2 of my favorites. He's right.
The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media.
Hey guys, welcome to Actions Detrimental post-Chicago street course, year 3. Finally got it. Dry weather for once. It's fantastic. SVG kind of weekend. What more can we say? Pretty much summed it up.
He's good at Chicago.
He's good on road courses in general, yes. Fantastic job by him. He started on the Xfinity pole, won the Xfinity race, started on the Cup pole, won the Cup race. What's y'all's initial takeaways from this weekend?
Yeah, just a SVG kind of weekend. Like you said, I think it's cool. He's now won 4 of his 5 Chicago races he's entered.
Yeah, what happened on the other one?
He got wrecked last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he drive into the barriers? Somebody wrecked him, right?
I think he was wrecked.
I know, but I remember seeing him sit there, but I think he got, somebody missed the corner and then knocked him out.
Yeah, I don't think he made a mistake.
Yeah, definitely could have had a perfect record here, but did for this weekend anyway. Yeah, I thought it was a good weekend overall. Seemed like still a lot of fans there, a lot of new fans. It seems like, the area is starting to embrace it. That seems like the build it didn't have quite the build out that it had before, so it was probably easier to, take up, take down.
Is that a sign that the Chicago street race has come to an end, or do you think there's an argument to come back and do it again?
I thought NASCAR definitely tried to oversell the premium experience, maybe. Remember they had that big thing on the front straightaway, and they were trying to sell these packages, like an F1 race, right? And it just didn't have quite the demand that they had. So they didn't have that I saw, but there was quite a few hospitality trailers and whatnot on the back. I don't know. I felt like it still felt really good to me. I mean, walking down the front stretch, you still feel like you're at a legit racetrack, and I don't know. Hopefully, they got a 2-year option, I guess, on this. Probably the city has that option. So, they'll need to talk about it for sure and see if it makes financial sense for everyone above, everyone involved. But I certainly hope that we go back.
Yeah, if it is the end, I feel like it's kind of unfortunate the way it all played out. Because like you said, NASCAR came into Chicago with big ambitions, right? With the F1 type experience, the music festival, and the weather was and it rained and killed the hype around that. And now by year 3, when the city's finally embracing it and the people feel like they're starting to warm up to it, it's now where it's like, well, do we continue this or do we take this elsewhere with what we learned?
Right. Yeah, all good questions for sure. And man, it did not look like we were going to dodge that rain. I mean, it was like a couple buildings away.
Yeah.
It seemed like, and just kind of stopped right when it got to the track. I did see the fan that had the vortex on the.
It worked.
Yeah, I know
it
worked. He kept the rain away, so thank you for that. I thought it was a good race. I mean, obviously, when SVG wins a road course, he's probably going to dominate them for the most part. So it always hampers what people feel about the racing itself more than likely. I mean, do you see as many passes as you do as an oval? No. I just think, listen, I'm not a road course fan. I still believe we have too many of them on the schedule. I think there was a big, giant push for them 6 years ago, and NASCAR was like, okay, well, that's what you want, because we had some. The only reason people loved them is we had green, white, checkered finishes, and people would get wiped out, and it created this excitement. I just think it was fake news, and we added a bunch to the schedule. We did cut back maybe one this year, but still, 6 is a lot. Considering that, we are NASCAR, we're short track racing, we're oval racing, full contact type racing. So, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. This is just one race. I think that should stay. The others, take or leave them, but certainly believe this one is just important to exposing new fans.
What's the impact for you guys as 2311? Obviously, we know the Michael, but for your partners and stuff.
Yes, it's a very important partner city. So there's 3 main ones. There was 3 main ones this weekend that, this was a big deal for them. McDonald's, obviously, headquarter there. You have the Jordan brand for obvious reasons, and then it was an important one for Robin Hood as well. So they had a bunch of people out. So it matters to us, and in a world where if we don't sell sponsorship, we don't have a business. It's important, no doubt.
Yeah, I think I personally don't love road course racing at all, but I think if you're going to do it, you should do it in a market like this in a way, in this fashion, in a street course that adds more to the NASCAR experience than just a typical road course.
Yeah, and I mean, just like talking to Karen upstairs, she was like, road course racing, it's just hard to watch. She's like, I can only see a car or two at a time, and it's like you can't really see where everyone's at. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So unless you're a fan of the 1 or 2 cars that they're showing in a battle, oval, you can zoom out enough to really kind of see everything and what's going on,
you can
right?
just understand it better.
Yeah.
You can understand the picture better and strategy.
I was going to go back to the strategy too. There was groups of strategies, right? And you just didn't know who's on A, who's on B, who's on C.
You were on one, and they said you're the leader of the group, and I was like, I have no idea what strategy Denny's even on. I was confused.
Right. And we were the leader of the group that thought they could make it after the Josh Berry wreck. So he was sitting there. There's a whole nother subject. We can get into it now or later. I saw him twice. I mean, I saw him, I think, right when it happened, and then I saw him again, and then the caution came out. So there was a group that pitted when they saw him sitting there. There was 5 cars that pitted. Then we said, okay, well, with another caution, or maybe 2 caution. No, did he say 1 caution or 2 caution? I think we needed. Travis, do you remember?
I thought it was 1.
I thought it was 1 caution. He's like, with a caution, we're fine. But save gas as if that caution's not coming. So save us, some, I think it was a lap and a half or so of gas. And so my job at that point was, all right, get ahead of all the people that just pitted, which I did. I passed those 5 cars, with the exception of maybe Reddick.
Reddick was on. He was one of the first people that pitted immediately.
Right. So he was part of the group of 5.
Yeah.
That was ahead of me. I came off pit road first.
You led your group.
Yes, and then passed all but Reddick of the 5 that were ahead of me. So we got the track position by doing that, but we pitted the same amount of times as SVG. We pitted the same, we pit twice during the course of that race. So we didn't do anything special strategy wise. We just pitted once we got right at our fuel window, just like everybody else did. We just really did a good job of getting spots, passing in the long run, passing in the short restarts. Like, it was one of the better road course races.
And no mistakes on track.
Finally.
I feel like that's key to this, right? Because half the field is going to make a mistake, spin out, get spun out. As long as you don't do that, you're in the top 15. And then any extra pass you make is cherry on top.
Agree. Yeah, I mean, there was a moment there, especially at the end of the race, where I'm like, I had just passed Allmendinger back for 3rd, and I start rolling in the 54. I think at that time, my lap time was 6 or 7 tenths faster than Shane, who's riding, by the way. and the 54 who's chasing him. And I had a huge moment into turn 2. I mean, I got it loose, got it sideways, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to throw away. I'm not going to throw away my day here to just try to get one more spot. Like, that'd be pretty silly of me. Let's get out of here with this great finish, and that's what we did.
Did you like the shortened race?
Yes.
This 75 laps versus
Yes.
100, right?
It felt right. I mean, it was, probably 2 hours, 45 minutes, 3 hours.
It was quick.
What more do we want? That's all you need.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like you were missing anything. It didn't feel like we needed 25 more laps of SVG leading.
Exactly right. It felt that way when I watched the Xfinity race too. Like, it's only 50 laps, but I felt like I couldn't skip any of it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, the laps matter.
All the laps mattered because you were like, well, who's going to pit? Who's going to be the first to pit when they can make it on fuel? Now I need to keep track of that person to see where they net out, in this strategy, and does it cycle them towards the front? So I felt like the shorter race was a good call. Certainly a good call.
You want to talk about the first incident in this, which was Hocevar spinning, stacking up the field, causing an actual traffic jam?
Whew. At first glance, I was like, how in the world did he misjudge the corner that bad? Not the first one that he actually hit, but the second one where he flat-sided the left side. And I went back, you look at the replay a little better, and they did a good job on TV of showing this, of like, he clipped the right side first, and then that shot him into that area. And so, listen, I mean, it's a mistake that can definitely happen. Many people, cut the corners a little sharp and clipped it. It's just, that's a high-speed one that, yikes. I don't know that you want to cut that close, but it was a mistake. It cost him. Certainly, he probably wishes he could do it all over again, but just not ideal because it stacked up a bunch. Luckily for me, I was so far back from where I was starting, I had plenty of time to react to it. And my spotter obviously said, they're wrecking, now they're parking over there. So I had a good heads up to just stop.
Yeah, and it was in an area where I think Spotter's view wasn't great because there's this tree here. I don't know what turn this is.
There's multiple trees.
Yeah, there's this tree here, and the Spotter's looking. I don't know where they're from. The hotel rooftops can't see that section, which I think is what added to this traffic jam.
Yeah, what's interesting too is that the trees growing even year to year mattered. Like, some of the signage I used for braking points were like next to the trees. Well, since in the last year, the tree branches has grown over and started covering some of the signage. And so I was like, I got to find a new spot here.
Right. That's what I was asking you on Friday when you're doing the track walk, is like, what are you actually looking for when you walk around this track? Because you don't walk around other tracks like you do Chicago. So what is actually changing year to year on this Chicago street course, and what are you looking for?
Well, I have marks that I have from the simulator first, right? So I'm looking for, okay, there's the brake marker I had there. Where is that brake marker now in real life? And then what is other things in this proximity? So say I'm blocked out by, I can't see it because I'm on the other side of a car, right? Well, now I need to find one on this side of the track, not just this side. I need to find them on both sides of the racetrack. That way, and you also never know, are they exactly where they were last year? There's marks in the racetrack that identify where I broke last year. Do the foot markers match with that? All those things you pay attention to.
How do you get adjusted when you didn't have practice to do that? Like, what was it like in the race trying to figure that out?
It took me 3 or 4 laps, truthfully. Just like everybody else that practiced. I mean, most of the fast laps in practice were, lap 4 to 6. It was same for me. Obviously I'm getting used to the braking. I hear what my teammates are saying, about their cars. And so I kind of take that into account, but for the most part, just getting acclimated, back to the racetrack and, getting my points right.
What went wrong in practice?
Don't know yet. Not till the engine gets back to Costa Mesa, but it appears the bottom exploded, and so not really sure. They need to figure it out though. It is certainly frustrating.
Is that just like a fluke thing? Is there a mistake in the engine build when that happens? Like where did that go wrong? Was it like when they were building the engine months ago at the shop on Monday?
It could have been. Yeah, I mean, it had been obviously dynoed before it got in the race car, but it certainly, the minute I gave it load, on the racetrack, when you're on a dyno, sometimes it doesn't create the actual load that the engine's under. There's chassis dynos and other things for that. But it just, the minute I hit the gas to load it, it exploded. So it, don't know exactly. There's an idea of what it might be, but I don't want to speculate here on this podcast.
How does that change how you go about a Saturday? Like, do you come in with an aggressive setup, then all of a sudden you don't have practice? Like, let's just go with something that's pretty neutral.
No, we stick to kind of what we think is right. We don't really venture too far off from that. It just really hurts you with reps and track position. Obviously, when you're back there, if you get some quick cautions, it opens up strategy possibilities for you. But we really didn't have anything that was able to change strategy from normal strategy that we had. We pitted twice, pretty much like everyone else in the field. We were fortunate to gain some spots early, and really just let things kind of play out naturally. So it's not like we got a freebie that took us from 30th to 5th.
Right. I mean, hell, not practicing and not qualifying may have actually been a help to you, right? To avoid that early Carson Hocevar pileup.
That you could definitely say that. Yeah. Because it seemed like those in that spot, so that started probably around the top 5, because that's where he qualified. I mean, from there to 18th was like right in the middle.
Right. You're either in it or you're just narrowly getting around it.
Yeah. You either had to be way in front of it, or you had to be in front of the top 5, or you needed to be outside the top 20. And so, yes, it definitely could have helped.
Yeah. Michael McDowell led a good portion of this race early on before having issues with his throttle cable that then ended his day. But he was a contender. He was a challenger for SVG.
Yeah, it looked like it. Michael McDowell made some comments, I guess, before the race that he thought that SVG could get gotten. So he definitely put his money where his mouth was and went out there, led the first portion of the race before he had to pit. And at that point, I think they had throttle issues. So you kind of saw it under caution. It was very, very weird. They replayed it where he was locking up the front tires, trying to get the thing to stop. But it could be a lot of things. It could be you wouldn't think it's rubber build up in there. So not really sure.
He's excited for next week. He says the real show is at Sonoma.
Wow.
So Michael McDowell will be back.
Okay.
Next incident we got on track here. Bubba Wallace spun out by Kyle Larson, or just the contact between Larson and Bubba spins out. Bubba.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's the risk that you run by dive bombing in there. And a lot of times you can catch people off guard by doing that, but if they don't see you, then it could really cause a massive pileup. But Kyle just got close enough to the 23. He saw that the 23 was bottled up waiting on somebody else through that corner and just dove it in there. And, in order for that to get called, it'd be really tough. It's just, there's not enough time, for the spotter to see the lunge into the corner, expect to process it, press the button, tell the driver then process it to leave that extra half a car width. It's asking a lot.
Is someone at fault here? Is one driver at fault for this incident?
I mean, it was probably a little aggressive on the 5's part, but you've seen that pass done many, many times before. Not really. Not, the blame ultimately goes to, well, was he there or not? Yes, he was there. And the 23 team, I don't know. This might be a Freddie question, but it seemed like they had some spotter issues on the 23. We'll talk about this later. All day long.
Door bumper clear is taping right now.
Yeah,
So.
good.
Where are you expected to pass at this track?
There's some really good passing zones. 1, 2, 4, 6. 7's hard, but it's 7 is a lot like 11, where you can do it, but it's risky. So 6, 7, you can you can do it in 11 if the person leaves room. It doesn't happen often in 12. A lot of it is because you're leading to a long straightaway there. If you don't get if you're side by side through 11, you're going to have a horrible run all the way down the front stretch. or 12. So there's 4 to 5 really legit passing opportunities at this racetrack, which is why I like it. Is that you get runs if you have a faster car, you can pass at this track. It's not easy. It is certainly more difficult than when we go to a oval or a mile and a half. But yeah, it can happen. SVG proved that by when he pitted. Obviously, he had new tires versus the guys he was going against, but he still was able to drive from, I believe, 10th, 11th after pitting in the first stage to back to the front.
Yeah, we saw Reddick at the end decide to pit from 3, put fresh tires on, and got back up there.
Yep.
Where does this track rank then amongst all the road courses at NASCAR races in a year? Where does this one rank in terms of passing opportunities?
It's more than Sonoma, and I'm trying to think. I think it's got more than Watkins Glen. Let me think. Watkins Glen, one, yes. Yeah, it's probably got more. It probably has more. I think it's close to Watkins Glen, but Watkins Glen, you're going so fast. The aero makes it very, very difficult because you're going up through the S's, the aerodynamics of the car. It's really hard for someone to stay close enough to you through the S's there to then make that into the bus stop pass that most people try to do. So it's just I feel as though this one has the most passing opportunities.
Did NASCAR wait too long to throw that caution for Josh Berry?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I mean, he was sitting there, driver's door first. I mean, into a corner that is heavy, heavy braking. Absolutely. That was a late call.
I think this is one of those tracks where, there's no runoff, right? So, when a guy goes off the track and gets stuck in the gravel, you're not necessarily sure, is he going to get it rolling again here, or is he just going to stay there? You either got to have a quick trigger on the caution flag, or you got to do what they did, which is just wait, I guess.
No, I don't think you got to wait. I mean, I think there's a balance to be had there. It was, think about this. I believe I saw him twice. I did. So I went around him. Yeah, when he hit the inside of 7, I was one of the cars that went around him. And then I saw him, again, we're still under green. I saw him in a different spot sitting driver's door first. So that's a minute and a half. How about wait 30 seconds, wait 45 seconds, not a minute and a half. You can't let the field come back through there.
Yeah, it just felt like waiting on a caution was the story of the day when it came to making the calls.
I think there's a flaw in their road course system. They don't have enough people watching.
There's a flaw somewhere, certainly. But they're calling this race from Charlotte, North Carolina, right?
I mean, they had a nice segment on social showing the camera angles.
Yeah, they put a thing out before the race about how they're going to officiate the race.
Man, oh man.
For a road course, you should have somebody watching.
Well, it used to be that those corner workers had radios, and those radios they'd radio back to the tower and say, "I got a car sitting over here in turn 6." And certainly that corner worker would have said, "Massive hit in turn 6."
I just had a car fly in here at 150 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That or just have someone in there, everybody's watching a different turn. Like, I don't think this should be a problem.
You wouldn't think so, not with the resources that they have, but I would like to know how many people they have watching the corners. If you got cameras on all corners, which they say they do, then you got to have a person per camera. That's their job. I'm sorry, you can't look at multiple monitors and think that you're catching it all. That's not realistic. But I don't know whether they're willing to put the manpower into that. I don't know whether they're willing to spend the money to do that, because obviously they did this to save money in the long run.
Well, they got the cameras. You just need a couple more people apparently to watch them.
Can't keep saying we didn't see it. Like, if you remember, they didn't see. Remember Parker Kligerman at the Roval? They didn't see the guy in the tire barriers. This is it's too much here,
and that's what
we're doing it too often.
And Gluck reported that they said they didn't see him go. And let's move to the Cody Ware one, since we're in the same.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, they saw the Josh Berry. I would assume they saw him sitting there for quite some time. But again, this was not a good officiated race.
Like, the Cody Ware one should be an instant yellow, right?
No question about it. That was a massive hit. You have got to throw the caution immediately. And that's not a caution I would have liked to have seen, by the way.
Do you think there's a little conspiracy to the call? Hey, we've got rain coming. We throw this caution right now. SVG doesn't take the white flag, and then who the hell knows if we actually get to finish this race?
Well, I'm gonna always be on the side of, like, crown the fair winner. The fair winner was SVG. And yes, if you get into a green white checkered, this thing you could have a lot of issues. But you know what? That's part of the deal. Sometimes you have things that you wish didn't happen at in the course of your event, but that's just bad luck. But what happened? Yeah, I think regardless of what they tell you, I think no question, rain coming in, the possibility of lightning, the possibility of a complete show worth of overtime, like, all that played into a factor, in my opinion.
But none of it should override calling a caution immediately, because it's a caution immediately.
Yeah, but they're saying they didn't see how big the hit was. That, I don't understand that. You are not doing your job as officiating if you don't see. It's one thing to look over and say, oh, there's a car over there. You got to know how they got there.
Right. What's worse reasoning? Saying you didn't see the impact, or that we just wanted to get to the checkered flag so we could end this thing?
They'll never say that. They will never say that. But it was just, I'm very certain in my belief that there was a lot of factors, some bad weather really close that played a factor in when that caution was called.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that was the impact of the wreck was immediate caution.
Yeah.
The video on Twitter, which I'm sure you've seen, from the fan perspective of the car just flying by, and
it was crazy.
Hey, this is Dale Jr., and for the latest Actions Detrimental gear, go to shop.dirtymomedia.com. We've got plenty of options for you. We're adding new stuff all the time. That's shop.dirtymomedia.com.
Joey Logano says Ross Chastain better get the fucking information right before he goes and wrecks somebody. And there's fucking 6 cars behind me wrecking into him, and then he destroys me from 4 back. That mother.
Oh, I mean, 2 of my favorites. He's right. What do you want me to say? Chastain wrecked other cars, and that didn't have anything to do with it. And obviously, we know what happened when on this podcast I said that I wrecked somebody on purpose or took them with me. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. In my opinion, Ross has done this to other cars, where he's gone in and just wiped out 3 or 4 of them. Do you believe that in that next corner you deserve to get just cleaned out under his rule of karma, that you would say yes. Yeah, sure, I do. I deserve to get wiped out. Unfortunately, you can't involve other people that have nothing to do with it. And, not understanding where that hit came from, especially on a road course. You got to know there's 10 cars you saw it was a restart. This wreck could have came from 8 cars back. You just don't know. You got to get the information before you rage wreck.
Yeah, I mean, he only took 200 yards before rage wrecking.
I agree with everything Joey said.
Do you think that it was necessarily targeted at Joey, or he's just like pissed at this moment that he just got, spun out, and now he's just going into this corner with?
I couldn't tell you where his mind's at in that moment.
So Joey afterwards, walking out, said that Ross admitted it, and Ross should be fined.
If he deliberately wrecked him, it appeared, everything I saw, it looked like it.
So do you think NASCAR will come down on him at all?
No.
And would you like to see that?
No, I don't think they will.
But would you like to see?
They won't. They don't do that. Unless it's me. Inconsistencies is the only consistency we have.
Bubba and Bowman. Where do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, would have liked to seen the 23 team figure out how to get to the finish line there with a good finish. They had bounced back from a very tough start of the race. They were started in the back, had a great practice, a horrible qualifying session, and then made their way towards the front. The 5 got in there. He spun out, had to go to the back, rebounded, got himself back in the top 10, and then, I don't know, they were just playing grab ass with the 48 and ended up getting the bad end of it. But if you're the 48, I mean, I tried every way I could. I'm looking and I'm watching the replay, and I'm like, 48? I just don't understand really kind of what he did wrong there. He got pinched into the wall off of 12. His bump into Bubba into 1 wasn't like egregious or anything, and I think it wasn't even like square in the back. It was kind of the left rear where Bubba was trying to clear himself, and at that time Bubba's on older tires. The 48 is on newer tires. You're just not going to hold that back in 6 laps. It's just impossible. You're not going to do it. We saw the speed difference between new and old tires.
And we saw it with you and Reddick, right?
Yeah, you got to just let it go. You got to let them go. Get your day that you need. And it sucks because, they are paired up in that challenge, right? So did that play a factor in how aggressive Bubba was trying to stay ahead of him? Possibly. But to me, I thought when I looked at it, I texted him afterwards, like, what happened? Because I hadn't seen anything. I just heard, Bubba and Bowman got into it. And I was like, oh, great. What now? I just don't know how many options the 48 really had. He just got pinched in the wall like a lot.
Let's pretend that the bracket challenge was the key factor. Should it be the key factor in that situation? Where both these guys are in points, their yearly situation, should this 5-week bracket challenge be a factor in how they race each other?
Sure, I don't mind that.
Even if it means that one of them...
No, I don't mind drivers being aggressive because they want to beat that one guy, and this was for 8th place or something like that. However, the bigger picture is, do you want to be in the playoffs or do you not?
Right, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and so you can't really cough up 20 spots with 6 laps to go. You got to just take your losses when you got them. And unfortunately, the 48 pitted. He took his new tires. They played a strategy. It worked out for him. You were kind of heading back the other direction, and you happened to cross paths in the middle of the pack. You got to just, in my opinion, you got to, and I know that you let one go, there's multiple right there to pounce. I totally get that. And I think what Bubba was trying to do, if I had to predict, would be, man, there's 7 cars here in this tight pack. I'm going to get passed by all of them. If you do, you do. Still finish 15th. It's still 13 points better than what you got. And I just think that all those points are going to matter. So I just believe the best way to do it is just take the day that's it's given to you. You just can't afford, and none of us can afford. And I've been in the same boat trying to race for this regular season deal. Man, you just can't take yourself out. Like, that's what the deciding factor is that the 23 team is way faster than their cars are faster. They are faster than the cars. They are all around in points, but they just don't execute as good as the others. The other guys are 10 spots worse on average running position. It feels like. I'm not talking blanketed about everyone. Everyone's been good, but I know speed wise, they shouldn't be in this position. Now, most of it is, and I've mentioned this, is DNFs that were not of his doing whatsoever. There's been mechanicals. There's been other wrecks that people, he's gotten a part of. They had nothing to do with. But everyone has these where you controlled the outcome and it led to a bad outcome. And I thought this was one that slowing things down and putting the big picture into play probably would have been the better idea.
Now, is it on the spotter? Is it on the crew chief to help relay that information?
I mean, they probably should. I mean, they can see this was brewing for 30 seconds, maybe more. I mean,
half the track.
Yeah, it was half the track. It was over in turn 7 where it all started. And they finally ended up crashing off at 2. So, yeah, it's just, someone's got to get in the ear and say, paint the big picture here.
Yeah.
48. He's got new tires. You're not going to hold him off for that long. 6 laps. No way.
Is this a time where maybe this week you become the owner and go in and have a chat with them about the bigger picture and where they're at in the season, or where are you?
No, I think Bubba understands it. I think that's why you saw him have the reaction that he did. I think that's why he made the comments that he did. He took, it seemed as though, he took responsibility for it, and that, he wasn't clear when he tried to clear himself. And so, no, I think he handled it fine.
And he did sound positive afterwards in interviews, right? It didn't sound like he was down on himself for what happened, which I don't know, is a good thing, is a bad thing, but it seems like they are still positive about what they're bringing to the track each week and what they can accomplish.
Yeah, they're fast. I mean, they were fast in practice first, and I don't know, all of our cars were fast. I mean, I felt like Riley, it was one of his better speed racetracks. Road courses have been good to him finish-wise, and he's certainly been, average running position has been better at road courses than what it has been on the ovals. And great comeback by the 35 team, by the way. They were involved in that first Hocevar incident. Nose just absolutely destroyed, still finishing the teens, I think 17th. So great job by them. It just, our cars are fast. Just got to figure out how to finish where you're capable of finishing. And whatever that number is on that day, you got to live with it. You can't make it worse.
These cool suits. I know you're not the biggest fan of the cool suits, but it appears that week to week now, someone is having a failing cool suit, and it's making their situation in the car much worse.
Yeah, I don't run them. It's very, 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 very rare that I'll run a cool suit. It just, wherever there's a lot of heat soaking. So basically what that means is that once the car, as the car's going around the racetrack, we're cutting through the air. So there's always cool air coming in through the radiator. It's cooling the engine. It's cooling the brakes. It's cooling all the stuff. Well, once we slow down for a caution, now there's no air cooling things off. All that heat just soaks around the parts and pieces that are really, really hot. Headers, the brakes. Like, there's nowhere for the air to escape, and there's no new air coming in there to cool off. So it could be a heat thing where just the inside of the race car, and you saw me, I was soaked. Like, I usually don't sweat very much in these cars, and I was rather wet after this one.
Do you still have? I know when Gaypart was your crew chief, he had like a certain temperature. He'd want you to wear the cool shirt. Does that temperature rule still apply?
I haven't this year. It was 85 degrees. Anything else kind of over 85 or certain humidity. He liked to have me run it, but I've been very rebellious against doing
What's
that.
the feeling like when it does fail? Because it's
I
just,
don't know. I've never
never
never had one fail. But my guess is it just gets really, really hot. Those tubes of water that go from cold to hot, and now you're increasing your core temperature, not decreasing it.
Yeah. Risk versus reward, I suppose. Back to SVG for a moment. Is he the best road course racer that NASCAR has seen? Or is he in the conversation?
Certainly in the conversation. It's so hard to like compare even the 90s and 2000s, because you could build car advantages where you can't do that now. Like, so you would say his accomplishments are probably greater than whoever the road course ace was back in those days, because Richard Petty, for instance, right? Like, his cars were just more reliable and faster than everyone else's. There was only 2 or 3 other cars that were actually going to make it to the finish of the races that he was in. And then much less not even have the speed that his had, the ingenuity that Dale Inman and those guys built in his cars. It was, they were way ahead of their time. And they took advantage of that and won a ton of races because of it. Nowadays, it's harder. You can't build car advantages. So, yes is maybe the answer. Has there been someone with this big of an advantage on road courses than the field? I don't think so. Even back when some of the awesome road course racers back in the day, I remember Ricky Rudd was really, really good. And Rusty Wallace was good. Jeff Gordon was really good. Tony Stewart. I mean, they all had car advantages as well. Now, they had to drive it. They had to tell the team the direction, what they needed. But still, you can't really tell because of car advantages back then versus now. So you certainly would think that SVG, relative to the field, has got a bigger gap than anybody in history.
It's just fascinating to think that he comes here, for a one-off race 2 years ago, wins the race, the inaugural race at Chicago. That propels him to a full-time Xfinity ride, into a full-time Cup ride. Now he's a 2-time winner this year. If he doesn't win that first initial Chicago race, are we even in this? Are we even talking about SVG now 2 years later? Surely that experience of coming here, winning right off the bat, leaves a good taste in your mouth. Ooh, I should come back and try this again. Maybe I'm just way better than these guys. Yeah,
you would think that it possibly did, right? And I believe he might have mentioned it after the race, that winning that 2023 Chicago race was like the moment for him where he thought that got him his ride. And so certainly, Justin talked about it, that the way the format is, it promotes this kind of thing where if you can go to a certain type of racetrack and not almost guarantee a win, but now you've changed that charter ranking from wherever he's at in points, 27th, to now the worst it can be is 16th. I mean, that's a good business decision, regardless of what you think, whether you think that person can win you a championship or not. You don't care, because the money is worth it.
They throw the caution at the end of this thing, he probably doesn't win.
Right. So
he now sits 5th in playoff points.
That's amazing. Wow.
With 11.
All right. I mean, after this weekend, he might be tied with the series lead in win.
Well, and here's the thing, too, is right now, this year, the first round of the playoffs, there is no road course. But as much as NASCAR's changing it up, he could get lucky and next year there's a road course in that first round and he moves on.
But also, he's going to get more and more competent on ovals
And he has.
right? He's going to continue to improve. So as long as he's a okay oval racer and a great road course racer,
It's great for the team. They really don't have to put the resources into his car for 31 weeks of the year or 30 weeks. You don't. Like you could, if you know you can win one of these 5 or 6 races, what you put into it for those other 30 something doesn't matter. Not under this system.
Well, that implies that your SVG is quite literally only racing for the road course.
Well,
system.
he's not going to be top 10 in points. Not in the near future.
His average oval finish is 23.4.
Actually, yeah, I mean, well, and he has gotten better too. So, I mean, I feel like his average running position on ovals was, I mean, he was back there just for the first 8-10 races or something, and he's definitely improved that quite a bit. So, I don't know. I think that I think the system has got some flaws, but he's now won twice. And so you can't overlook that. And certainly, Justin said it. He's like, this system affords us the opportunity to win where we can win and then just take our time getting better on the other places we need to get better.
But, as well as that you got to execute the race to win this, right? Just because he's the best at getting around the track, the team still has to execute. He still has to keep a level head in the car despite all the stuff that's going on around him.
He's great at what he does.
Yeah.
He's great at what he does. And certainly it's showing and he's capitalizing when he's the best, which that's hard enough to do in itself. And then he is getting better on the ovals and being more competitive. So I think he's right on schedule for what they were probably hoping for, maybe even more.
Let's move on to the bracket challenge.
Well, hold on. Let's stick with Trackhouse right now.
Okay.
Daniel Suarez out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Ray Charles probably saw this one coming.
And you have to assume they're going to go with the road course win method with his replacement.
Yeah, it's cut and paste. I don't know. I think Connor's a little bit faster on ovals. He's won Xfinity oval. We talked about this, Pocono. But actually been in contention at other ovals, set on the pole at some ovals early in the season. So I think it's a cut and paste of SVG of now you can go in there. Now you've got 2 bullets in the gun at every road course that are probably going to be, one of your favorites. It's a straight shot avenue to the playoffs as long as the system doesn't change. Let's just put an asterisk there because there are internal conversations. There is a committee talking about how we're going to reshape these playoffs. Should someone 30th in points be in the playoffs? I think that is a unanimous probably no from the committee.
SVG currently sits 27th in points.
I get it. And he's probably going to, after this weekend, he's going to move up. Maybe it'll be 24th, something, But what is the cutoff? What is the cutoff where, you got to be held accountable for the other 30, if you have 5, so the other 21 races in the regular season, you can't just, take those off. And no one's taking those off, but I'm saying you got to make them matter, not just the one race or so that you win.
I think the key here is assuming that Zilich is the one that's going to take that 99 right next year. Is he just showing too much promise right now to not be in a Cup car full time? In Trackhouse's eyes,
I think he's certainly talented enough, capable enough, and will be very, very successful.
The bracket challenge. Ty Dillon, Cinderella story, advances again.
Where'd he finish? Where'd he finish in Atlanta and here?
I mean, he was
I'll look that up.
20th here.
He finished 20th?
I think he was 20th. Check your notepad.
P20. This guy has had the absolute easiest path to the Elite Eight. He's had 2 cars that have been out after the first stage.
He's raced the least amount of laps against his competitor.
Yes. It's been amazing.
He did finish 8th in Atlanta, if that makes you feel a little better.
And who's he go up against this week? Alex Bowman?
He now is Bowman, yep.
Bowman's getting wrecked.
Could he do it again? Could he do it again? I don't know. Eventually, you're going to have like actual... You're going to have to outrace one of these guys. It probably not going to happen until you get to an oval, though. That's where it's really going to kind of matter. But we have no race winners left in the bracket of the 8 drivers. These are the most unpredictable 8 that you could imagine. There's a few, chalk favorites in there, but yeah. Starting this out on a super speedway and multiple road courses, you will have this, and this is, you just hope it hasn't lost some of its luster. But I thought TNT did a good job of kind of showing the matchups, kind of where they stand, and I like the banners on the windshields to kind of identify them.
It helped that then you had Bubba and Bowman at the end, too.
Yeah, that was a good one. No other one was really close because of takeouts and stuff like that, right? Nothing else. One was
John Hunter and Chase Elliott.
Was one position away, right?
But I don't remember them talking about that much.
I rewatched the race. I didn't see it either. But I did. John Hunter, I think, get around Chase at the very end. Like, Chase's car was pretty hurt. It's definitely pretty hurt from one of the stack-ups. But, man, I mean, everyone's been taken out of this thing. So, it's wild.
Both legacy cars are still in.
They won't be after this week. The most awesome thing would be Ty Dillon winning this thing after finishing 20th every week. That would be the most NASCAR thing.
That'd be exciting.
Ever.
That'd be exciting.
I know. It'd be awesome.
Ty Dillon versus Bowman this week. Who you got in that one?
You got to go with the hot hand.
Hot hand.
John Hunter and Eric Jones?
Man, I'd say on speed, Eric Jones, but I watched him lock up a tire on every corner and ran into quite a few things. Eric Jones. John Hunter. John
Hunter, 12 seed. Ryan Preece or Tyler Reddick?
Reddick.
And then Ty Gibbs or Zane Smith?
Gibbs.
Okay.
There it is. Final answer.
Anything else for this? Would you do anything off track that was interesting in
Not
Chicago?
really. Just did a little shopping. Jameson had his first trip. That was probably a bit ambitious on Mom and Dad's part. 3 weeks in, but no, not a whole lot really. Enjoyed the city.
He did crush the plane rides, though. I mean, he was...
Slept all the way through.
Yep.
To and from.
Yep.
It was fantastic. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. Sonoma, another road course. Should be exciting. It's one where certainly SVG will not have the giant, I just don't think he's going to have as big an advantage. Doesn't mean he's not going to be the favorite. He will be the favorite. But we'll see how close the competition gets to him.
Never raced there in a cup car. But for him, does that matter?
Nope. Shouldn't matter. Again, that's why I think that the advantage will be, if it was here, his advantage is going to be here. So it'll be tighter. It'll be closer.
You were behind by 80 points, left Chicago minus 43.
Thank you, William Byron. This gift. Who thought I would have cut half my deficit off in a road course?
Imagine if you would have raced in Mexico City.
He is thinking that now. Can confirm that was a thought.
I support my decision. If it turns out being hurtful, it turns out being hurtful.
I mean, we joke about how, you may not be the best road course racer, but I mean, you've been saying now for 2 years, like, if it doesn't rain at Chicago and we're on dries, I'm just as good as anybody else.
If it's dry, I am fast at Chicago. I've been fast at Chicago. I'm serviceable there. That's all I can tell you.
So what can we get at Sonoma from you?
I got the pole 2 years ago. And led a good portion of it till pit stops or something. Not really sure. Our finishes, again, have been bad because we didn't flip stages. This one we just said, all right, we're not worried about the stage. We're just going to flip and just see where this thing nets out. And that's where it netted out. So, I don't know. I'm optimistic. I've got a ton of laps there. I know how to make speed there. It's just, do you have the car to kind of do what you want it to do? And do you have track position? All that stuff's matter. This new road course tire that we have is a really good tire. It's got good speed on the short run. It matters if you pit in the long run. So all good things that certainly point to another good finish for us.
One more off-track thing. Shout out to whoever made those AI pics of you and Travis, of Travis and you.
No one's seen them, right?
No, certainly people have seen them.
They have. I've received text messages from a few people.
You can go find them. You dig them. You dig hard enough on X, you can find them. They're hilarious.
It's pretty damn funny. I'm not gonna lie. It is our new avatar for Denny Bros.
The Denny Bros.
I got a text from Dale. TJ.
That's what I was about to.
Oh, they saw him?
Oh yeah.
No.
What did Dale say?
Let's see if I can find it. I think it was more of just like the pick was set and then they started laughing.
Speaking of Dale and whatnot, I did ask them last night. I said, hey, I saw some comments about, TNT's coverage, was not great. More like the camera angles weren't great, right? It was very Fox-esque. And I asked, is this a new director or not? They said he is new. We're working with it. We're working out the kinks now. Just give these guys a little bit of time. They are new to it. So understanding, what to keep watching and what to cut away from is something that's going to be evolved over time. So,
and Chicago can't be an easy race for camera angles.
Probably
I can't
not.
imagine.
Especially if these people they're not the NBC crew that have done the past two. This is their first time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the good news is they've got the on-air talent that can help guide them into the right path.
Yeah.
So
we put the blame on Prime here. Prime just screwed everything up by putting together a great broadcast.
Doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I see what they were saying. Like there was, there was contact. Next thing you know, you cut away and somebody's wrecked and you're like, well, how'd that happen? But it's just, again, I can only imagine how hard it is at Chicago where you can't look out the window and say to your director, look at the battle for 16. No telling where these guys were actually housed while this thing is going on. There's no scoring tower or media tower for them to be able to see the race live. So it is very, very difficult. I get it.
Next week, as we said, we're at Sonoma practice and qualifying Saturday, 1:30 Eastern on True TV, and then race on Sunday, 3:30 Eastern on TNT. And then, as always,
well, thanks for letting me know where practice is at.
True TV.
We didn't know last week.
Well, now you do.
Now,
if anyone wants to know, you just have to listen to the show, hoping that Travis puts it on the sheet every week and it's accurate. If you want to know where practice is, just listen.
If it's accurate.
Yeah, just listen to Actions Detrimental.
Okay. Well done.
I got a review here from Andrew Leonard from Spotify. Blaney fan here. Former Denny hater. Podcast has me now somehow rooting for him. Great dude.
Thank you, Andrew. Look forward to seeing you at a racetrack sometime soon. You can trade in that Blaney shirt for a Denny shirt if you'd like. Go see us at the merch hauler. Surely they got one shirt or maybe two that you can have to choose from. All right, well, we'll see you guys next week.